November 8th, 2022, Moines Area MPO Policy Committee meeting to order, and ask for a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mandelbaum,
Murray will second.
second by Murray. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Because he's in the 24.
Motion carries. All right. Item 2 is a public hearing to consider the downtown Des Moines Dam mitigation and user access project construction contract. This is the time and place for a public hearing. Does anyone like to speak on this project?
Len Murray does. I have a statement I would like to read.
All right.
The Water Trails project is a very ambitious plan, and the concept remains transformational as a differentiating quality of life amenity important to the economic development future of the metro. The actions today could be defining make or break moment for long-term credibility and financial stability of the MPO, with lasting impacts for future metro-wide projects and funding. And because of that, I ask that my comments and questions be made part of the record of this meeting. Each member community of the MPO has proportional ownership of the financial liabilities and actions of this 28E agency. Therefore, as we would expect from our own decisions and processes in our communities, it is important for all of us here to have the same level of continuous, consistent, and accurate information to base sound decision-making, since we are committing the financial future of each of our individual communities on the successful completion of a large-scale project with an 86-part plan containing 80 projects scattered over 150 miles of waterway. Our communities are experienced at managing federally funded construction projects, but managing a project of this scale and complexity would be a challenge requiring significant amount of time from seasoned staff. In this case, we are handing the responsibilities of project management and oversight to the MPO, an agency that does not have a history of managing construction projects or staff with experience in large construction project management. How are we directly mitigating this critical part of project oversight management? Does this body have direct authority over any third-party manager for this project? I understand the federal build grant award is $25.1 million, and the federal government has worked to extend the deadline for the project to be awarded to begin construction. The project under consideration for award today has been modified in scope to remove elements to yield a more affordable.
Oh, it'll be easy to piss Mary off tonight.
Yes. Avoid it as much as.
Can people unmute online, please?
However, the grant award requires many other components to be completed that are not a part of this bid package. We know exactly what projects must be completed to satisfy the build grant. Do we have an estimate of what those additional required components are projected to cost under current inflationary dollars? What is the end date for completion of the required components? We've heard a number of different bid package engineering estimates ranging from 36 million to 43 million, and regardless of 41 million bid in the current climate is one for the responsible bid. We should be concerned about several additional points. Current inflationary issues raise concerns about our success, multiple change orders likely. What is our contingency budget for this phase of the project? What is the cash on hand, not including pledges that are not guaranteed, from all sources for this phase and for the required future phases? Today's election results could have a significant impact on current and future federal funding for several years. Concerns remain about our individual community liabilities if we are unable to complete this phase and future phases as outlined in the build grant requirements. What is our ability to complete the other required project components that are not currently unbid and unfunded? Once the contract is awarded, I understand the MPO, which we are all members, could become liable for damages to the contractor if the project is truncated. And once the first federal dollar is accepted and reimbursed, the MPO may be responsible to pay back some or all of the $25.1 million build grant if all required future components are not completed in a timely manner. I understand that Maggie McClellan, the ICON director, is leading the Great Outdoors Foundation, which is the fundraising arm of this project. do we know the status of ICON's fundraising efforts? ICON's website indicates 76.8 million raised, and Megan reported on July 28th that they had raised 88 million of the 125 million funding goal. ICON anticipated state and federal funding in the amount of 80.5 million, of which 40.1 million, or less than half the projected amount, has been secured to date. I want to get these important comments and questions on the record during this hearing. Pleasant Hill wants this project to succeed, but we have serious concerns about the MPO's ability to successfully manage this project and over our collective ability to ensure the requirements of the build grant are met. Moving forward, we may need to rely heavily on the city of Moines, Polk County, and the state of Iowa for a financial backstop to see this effort reach the finish line. Though by membership in this organization, the financial responsibility is all of ours today. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. We are still in public hearing. Would anyone else like to address this item?
Mr. Chair, Joe Gatto, I think it would be fair to answer Councilmember Lynn's some of his questions. Maybe Todd can answer some of the things that he had pointed out, and just kind of clarify some things and answer some of the questions that he had pointed out on the record.
Well, at this point, I appreciate that, John. At this point, I'm going to just ask for public comment through the public hearing process, and then we can close down the public hearing portion of that, and then we can have discussion and response on that. So,
sounds good. However you want to do it. I think it'd be worthwhile just answering some of the questions. However you want to do it.
Thank you.
You bet.
We are still in public hearing on this. Would anyone like to make any other comments before we close the public hearing portion of this? Okay, hearing none, then I'm going to close the public hearing on this item. Todd, do you want to just address some of those points at this point or not?
Sure, I'd be happy to. There were in the Water Trails Plan 88 projects throughout the region. The MPO is not responsible for those 88 projects. The build grant only refers to the projects that Scott, Harriet, and Birdland and Prospect Parks. That's what was included in the build grant application. This first phase of that, which we'll be using the build grant money on, is for the section around Scott Avenue Dam and some of the work around the uplands there on Scott Avenue, which we'll show later in the meeting. The other projects will be let later on in the next couple of years, with Harriet being and Birdland and Prospect being construction starting by 2027. And that's the extent of the requirements of the build grant. As far as construction management, we've got an agreement with Icon Water Trails and Snyder and Associates in Polk County to help manage those things, and Polk County and Snyder have extensive knowledge on how to manage a construction project, so they'll be assisting in sort of the day-to-day part of that, and we'll be providing the oversight and management of the contract. I'm sorry, Tom?
That's just not true, but go ahead, Todd.
How is that not true?
Polk County, there's never been any agreement that anyone in Polk County would help manage or oversee this construction project that I'm familiar with. I don't know if we have anybody from Polk County on, but I disagree with what you've said.
I've had numerous conversations with Bob Rice and his staff on this, and they've been participating in meetings for the last 2 years on this project.
Okay, well, we can have this discussion. We can have a further discussion about it another time, but I disagree with what you've said. But
okay. So, and Gabe Nelson is on here from Snyder Associates, who's been involved in the project since we started bidding the contract and some of the design work, helping manage that, and we'll continue on as a part of the construction management and the process of handling the work with the contractor, again, on the kind of the day-to-day basis of that. But as far
Todd,
as-
can you go ahead? I didn't want to interrupt you, but
No, go ahead.
I think some of Lynn's was financial questions that he asked about how much was raised, what we have already raised, where we're at with that process. I know this takes care of the water portion of Scott Street, but it doesn't take care of the outside Park or Harriet or Prospect
Yeah,
or Birdland.
Icon has raised money and continues to raise money for those projects. They've raised, I want to say, Maggie, you're on here, maybe you can jump in on this. They've raised 40-some million dollars to help work on this project and continue those future phases, as well as other components of the Water Trails plan in total.
Yeah, so to date, we have secured $95 million in fundraising that is inclusive of not only what we plan to do as part of the build grant phase, but also other components of the project. When we were going to bid for this third round, we ensured that we had all of the funding secured to be able to move forward with this phase as part of the build grant. So we have the funding secured for Scott Avenue in water, Scott Avenue uplands, and the Harriet Street, as well as additional contingency for any change orders that may come up, as well as any flood events that may take place. We are working towards and have a very solid plan for securing the funding for the Birdland and Prospect components. Those are 5 years out, as Todd mentioned, construction initiated by 2027. But we have grant sources identified for that. We're just not within those grant application periods at this point, but have those sources identified to get those projects complete so that we fulfill all obligations of the build grant agreement that is currently in place.
And I wanted to clarify my understanding, because the city of Des Moines is contributing $6 million. And that is for all of this, that is for, it's going at the initial phase, but there are not additional dollars for the upstream, the Birdland and Prospect pieces. When we were negotiating the amendment, there was some discussion about making that $6 million and spreading that out so that it was tied to construction in those other pieces. The request was for cash flow purposes to have that up front, but I want to be on the record and clear that Des Moines' contribution is designed for all of these pieces. So, folks coming back in the future and saying, well, it's Des Moines' issue. We have made a substantial contribution to make this work. And that is designed to cover the pieces that are upstream in Des Moines in the future. So I want to be clear on the record that that is where Des Moines is at in case there are future discussions. We have been a major contributor, and I don't want folks to walk that back on us in the future.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, this is Russ Trimble from West Des Moines. I guess I'm trying to get my head wrapped around this whole thing. So just help me understand. So Josh just got done talking about the fact that Des Moines has contributed $6 million. We've got a $25 million build grant. So that's $31 million towards this project, correct? And then, okay. And then we've got a bid today for, is it $43 million?
Just under 41.
Okay, just under $41 million. So we've obviously got a gap, and that's what people are interested in, having a conversation about a gap and funding this. But we're continuing to do more fundraising. I think that Icon group is a great group of people who know what they're doing and are able to raise money from the business community and grants as well. I guess the question I would have today is, what happens if we decide to move forward today, knowing we've got, $31 million committed to this project in this small gap? What are we able to get done with the money that's already been committed? And then what happens when we get to the point where we've spent that 31 million? Let's say we have no more money coming in. What do we do at that point? That's what I'm looking for.
We have the money, Russ, to the whole amount of money to complete this project. We won't have to raise additional money, excuse me, for this part of the project. We have the cash that we have, the assistance from City of Des Moines, as Josh Mandelbaum mentioned, and then the fundraising that Icon Water Trails has done and the pledges they've already received, as well as the cash on hand and our letter of credit. There's a letter of credit that Bankers Trust is holding, again, to help with cash flow that we can tap into. So for this phase, we're good on our funding.
Todd, I
Okay.
can share some additional details that we also have 7 million in Destination Iowa funds going towards this phase. We have 3 million from Polk County going towards this phase, and then the remainder, which has already been committed in private fundraising dollars to complete this portion of the project.
Well, I guess what I would say is I've been involved with this from day one, as I know, Joe, so have you and others that are on this call today. I think there's been always some questions that people have had going forward. And I know that, Des Moines, I respect you guys have got other infrastructure issues that you'd like to take care of and make sure get done and everything else. But I'm jealous of this project. I wish it was in the city of West Des Moines. I think it's going to be a great thing for our region. I think it's going to be a complete and utter game changer for this region. People are going to be flocking here to get on the river and to get in a kayak and have the whitewater rapids. If I remember right, you can dial them up or dial them down. I think this is going to be huge for economic development and workforce development. You name it. I think it's going to provide returns over and over again, not only to the city of Des Moines, which I think is going to be the number one benefactor of this, but to all of us as a region, as people are coming here to play and have fun. I know it's done wonders for Charles City, and I know there's another city in Iowa that has put in a water trail, and it has been absolutely phenomenal. I guess I would like to, assuming, and what I'm getting is that we've got the money to be able to do this part of the project. I'd like to see it go forward because I think it's going to be a great deal for us. So I'm going to be supporting this today.
Russ, is that a motion then on item 4?
Yes, I'd move approval.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Trimble, second by Gatto. Any further discussion on item 4? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? All right, the motion carries.
Just for my purposes, since I'm not there, who are the nays? What
The vote is
cities?
no.
Polk County's a no.
Okay, Polk is a no, and who else?
Pleasant Hill.
Glenn Murray from Pleasant Hill.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so then I would ask for a motion in a second regarding item 5. Is there a motion?
So moved, Haddon.
Motion by
Second,
Haddon,
Gatto.
second by Gatto. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, Hawkins, Smith, and Murray. Opposed, any abstentions? That motion carries. All right, then moving on to item 6, and that is to consider the mobilization payment. Todd, do you have any further to add on this?
Just real quick, this project has had its ups and downs, and it was a 2019 build grant Federal Highway, because of the length of time from when it was awarded to now, is put this project on what it's called its inactive list, just meaning they're watching the project closely. So to remove it from the inactive list, the DOT and Federal Highway asked that we do a quick payment on mobilization costs, quicker than we typically would, and asked that, a good faith amount would be 10% of the mobilization cost, which is approximately $386,000. This is just to keep the project active on Federal Highway's project list.
Move approval.
Second, DeCook.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All same sign.
Aye.
Any abstentions? That motion carries. All right. Item 7, any other non-action items of interest to the committee? Anyone have anything for this time? All right. Hearing none then, our next regular meeting date will be November 17 at 4 o'clock. And with that, we are at the end of our agenda. We stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I ask